It was raining. The usual, relentless Pacific Northwest rain that feels less like weather and more like a judgment. It washes the color out of the suburbs, leaving everything gray and cold. It was 1:15 a.m. inside Northwood High. The school felt alien in the dark. The polished concrete floors of the atrium, usually scuffed by hundreds of sneakers, now reflected the stormy sky outside the floor-to-ceiling windows like a black mirror. During the day, this place is a battleground. AP classes, student council elections, the suffocating pressure to be exceptional. At night, it's a tomb. I adjusted the strap of my backpack, my knuckles turning white. I shouldn't be here. I am Harper Evans. I have a 4.3 GPA. I color code my study notes. I'm a National Merit Scholar finalist. My early action application to Stanford is sitting on a desk in Palo Alto right now. I don't break rules. I follow them. I enforce them. But tonight, the rules don't matter. Only the timeline matters. Earlier this evening, the fire alarm ripped through the silence of the administration wing. A minor incident, the email to parents said. But the rumors on Discord were already vicious. They said Leo, the quiet kid in the oversized hoodie, the burnout who sits in the back of Trig, was seen running away from the smoke. Everyone assumes it was him, because it's easy to blame the kid who doesn't fit in. I walked quickly toward the main office, wincing every time my wet sneakers squeaked on the polished concrete. My heart felt like a bird trapped in my ribcage, beating against the bone. I just need to check, I told myself, the lie tasting like copper in my mouth. I just need to see what the cameras saw. If the footage is bad, I'll deal with it then. I wasn't here to commit a crime. I was here to fix a mistake. A terrible, stupid, life-ending mistake. Because if I didn't fix it, Stanford was gone. My scholarship was gone. My parents' proud smiles, gone. I reached the office door. The lock was simple, old-school brass, unlike the biometric scanners they installed in the new science wing. I fumbled with the key I'd swiped from the janitor's closet during 6th period. Click. The sound was louder than thunder in the empty hall. I held my breath, waiting. Silence. I pushed the door open. The smell hit me instantly. Not just smoke, the acrid, chemical stench of melted plastic and scorched carpet. The scent of disaster. I stepped inside, pulling my phone out to use as a flashlight. I aimed the beam at the secretary's desk. "Who's there?" The voice came from the corner. Deep, startled. Male. I spun around, nearly dropping my phone. The beam of light swung wildly across the file cabinets and landed on a face I knew better than my own reflection, because his face was on every trophy in the hallway. Chase Miller, Northwood's golden boy, lacrosse captain, the guy who dates girls with perfect hair. He was standing by the far wall, frozen. He wore a dark hoodie, hood up, trying to blend in. He looked guilty. "Chase?" I whispered, the name scraping my throat. "What are you doing here?" He lowered his hand, shielding his eyes from my light. Recognition dawned on his face, followed by a wave of confusion. "Harper? Jesus." He let out his shaky breath, leaning against a filing cabinet. "You almost gave me a heart attack." "You're not supposed to be here," I said. It was a ridiculous thing to say, considering I was holding a stolen key. "Neither are you," he shot back. He took a step closer, entering the circle of my flashlight. He looked different without his varsity jacket, less invincible, more human. "But I think I know why you are." My stomach dropped through the floor. He knows, I thought. He saw me. "You do?" I managed to ask, my voice barely audible. "Yeah," Chase sighed, running a hand through his messy, damp hair. "You're here for Leo. I saw you guys talking in the parking lot last week. You helped him with his chem homework, right? You're probably the only person in this school who actually believes he's innocent." I blinked. The air rushed back into my lungs.
He didn't know. He looked at me and saw Harper the valedictorian, Harper the hero. He didn't see the girl who had been hyperventilating in the bathroom 2 hours ago. I swallowed hard and looked him in the eye. This was the moment. Yes, I lied. I'm here to help Leo. We can't let them ruin his life for something he didn't do. Chase nodded, a fierce determination lighting up his eyes. He hated injustice. How perfect. Exactly. I tried to get into the system, but I got locked out. But I know the admin password. He turned his back to me to boot up the computer. I stood there for a second in the dark, watching him. Chase was here to be a hero. I was here to bury the truth. I prayed to God he wouldn't find it.
I always thought Harper Evans was made of ice, or maybe glass, something sharp, cold, and impossible to hold without cutting yourself. In the hallways of Northwood High, she walks like she's on a runway, head high, eyes focused on a future none of the rest of us can see. She's the girl who corrects the teacher on AP history dates. But now, huddled next to me in the suffocating dark of the principal's office, she wasn't made of ice. She was shaking. "Hurry up," she whispered, her voice trembling. She smelled like vanilla and rain, a soft, real smell that didn't match her robotic reputation. The night shift security usually does a perimeter check at 1:30. "Relax," I said, trying to sound like I did this every Tuesday, though my own palms were sweating against the mahogany desk. "Vance is a boomer. He's not a mastermind." I grabbed the mouse. The screen woke up, casting a ghostly blue glow over our faces. Password required. "Do you actually know it, or were you just trying to impress me?" I smirked despite the tension. Vance leaves his door open when he yells at the football coach about the budget. I've seen him type it a dozen times. I typed Northwood Pride. The screen flashed. Access granted. Harper let out a breath that sounded like a deflating tire. She leaned in closer, her shoulder brushing against my arm. A jolt of electricity went through me. Not just fear, but something else. For a second, I forgot about Leo. I was just a guy standing next to the smartest, prettiest, most terrifying girl in school. "Move," she murmured, reaching across me. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. She was in control now. Network, security, archives. We found the file, main office cam 02100.mp4. It was a massive file, a continuous block of recording, starting from 6 p.m. "Okay, let's see who was," I started to say, reaching for the mouse to hit play from the beginning. "No time," Harper interrupted sharply. Her hand covered mine on the mouse, stopping me. Her skin was freezing. "The alarm tripped at 9:02 p.m. We don't have time to watch 3 hours of empty office. We need to see the fire." She clicked precisely on the timeline bar, scrubbing the video forward, skipping past 7, past 8, past 8:30, landing right at 8:58 p.m. The video froze for a second to buffer, then started playing. The image was grainy, black and white night vision. The office was empty. Then, the door opened. My stomach twisted into a knot. It was Leo. He looked frantic, his hood up, glancing over his shoulder like he was being chased. He ran to the desk. "What is he doing?" I whispered. On the screen, Leo reached out and swiped something off the corner of the desk. In the low-quality footage, it was hard to tell what it was. A crumpled ball of fabric? A rag? He shoved the cloth into his hoodie pocket and spun around. He ran out. 10 seconds later, a curl of gray smoke drifted up from behind the desk. Then a flicker of bright white light. Fire. "Oh God," I whispered. "He was there. He took something and then it burned. It looks really bad, Harper." Harper was staring at the screen, her face pale. She looked like she was about to be sick. "He didn't do it," she said, but her voice lacked conviction.
He wouldn't burn down the school. The video says otherwise, I argued gently. We have to delete this. If the cops see this, he's done. No graduation, no future. Delete it, she commanded. Now! I reached for the keyboard, but Harper suddenly grabbed my wrist again. Wait! What? We don't have time? Look, she pointed at the screen, not at the video player, but at the desktop background behind it. There was a minimized email window partially open. Look at the subject line. I squinted. Subject, urgent insurance claim / stadium renovation deficit. Sent, yesterday, 4 p.m. Open it, Harper hissed. I maximized the window. We read it together, our heads touching. To District Superintendent, from Principal Vance, regarding the $50,000 shortfall for the new turf field. As discussed, if we were to suffer a catastrophic loss of the paper archives due to accidental damage, the emergency insurance payout would cover the gap before the audit on Monday. I pulled back, staring at Harper. The pieces slammed into place. Holy shit, I breathed. The turf field. He's been skimming money. That's why we haven't had new jerseys in 2 years. Harper's eyes were blazing now. He didn't just wait for a fire chase. He planned it. He probably left the heater on or rigged the socket. He wanted this room to burn to hide his theft. And Leo just walked into the trap, I said, feeling a surge of protective rage. Vance is the villain, Harper said firmly. She looked at me, and for the first time she smiled. It wasn't her fake yearbook photo smile. It was real, conspiratorial. We're not destroying evidence, Chase. We're leveling the playing field. She hit the delete key on the video file. Are you sure? Yes. The progress bar filled up. Deleted. We did it! I let out a laugh, high and breathless. We actually... Suddenly, a beam of light swept across the frosted glass of the office door. Heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway. Thud, thud, thud. The handle of the door rattled. The smile vanished from Harper's face. She looked at me with pure terror. Hide, I whispered. I grabbed her hand, her cold, shaking hand, and pulled her down. We scrabbled into the tight space under the heavy oak desk, knees knocking together, trapped in the dark. I could smell her shampoo again. I could feel her rapid heartbeat against my arm. We were criminals. We were trapped. But as I squeezed her hand in the dark, I realized I didn't want to be anywhere else.
Under the desk, the air was stale and tasted of dust. Chase was pressed against me, his varsity jacket taking up most of the cramped space. He was warm, too warm. He radiated that annoying, unconscious heat of someone who has never had to shrink themselves to fit into a small space. He found my hand in the dark and squeezed it. It was a firm, reassuring grip, the grip of a team captain used to taking the hits and keeping his footing. He thought this was a movie. He thought we were partners in crime fighting the corrupt system. If you knew, I thought, staring into the pitch blackness under the mahogany wood, if you knew that 5 minutes before Leo walked into that office, I was the one standing there, watching the curtain catch fire, you wouldn't be holding my hand. You'd be calling the cops. A beam of light slashed across the gap between the desk and the floor. I stopped breathing. The security guard, Old Man Miller, was heavy-footed. I could hear the jingle of his keys and the heavy thud of his boots on the polished concrete. Thud. Jingle. Thud. The light swept over the file cabinets, then the chair. Chase squeezed my hand harder. His palm was sweaty. I didn't squeeze back. I was too busy calculating odds. If he finds us, I can say Chase forced me. My brain whispered. A terrible, survivalist thought. I can say I found him here. No, the key is in my pocket. I'm implicated. I closed my eyes and replayed the last 10 minutes. The video. Thank God Chase is an athlete, not a techie. When that file opened, the timestamp read 6 p.m. If I'd simply hit play, Chase would have seen me walking into that office, not Leo. He would have seen the accident, the panic, the truth. But Chase didn't look at the timestamp. He looked at me. He trusted me. So I scrubbed the timeline forward. One click, and I erased myself from the narrative. And the insurance email, pure luck. While Chase was busy staring at the subject line in shock, I had already hit forward. Destination, the district superintendent. Vance was a crook. It didn't make me innocent, but it gave me a villain to hide behind. The guard's radio crackled, loud and static-filled. Sector 4 clear, checking the gym. The boots squeaked on the concrete, turning away. The door clicked shut, the lock engaged. Chase let out a long, shaky exhale, his breath tickling my ear. "He locked it," Chase whispered. "We can't go out that way." "Window," I whispered back. "Behind the chair." We crawled out. My legs were numb. Chase moved to the tall, narrow window. He fumbled with the latch. "It's jammed," he grunted, straining against the frame. "Stuck tight." "Push harder," I hissed, glancing at the door. "He's gonna loop back." Chase gritted his teeth. With a sharp, metallic clack, the mechanism gave way. He shoved the sash up, and the wet, cold night air rushed in, smelling of rain and freedom. "Ladies first," he whispered, offering me a hand up. He looked at me with that same stupid hero worship look, like I was a damsel he'd just rescued. I didn't look him in the eye. I couldn't. I climbed onto the sill and dropped into the wet grass outside. Chase followed. He reached up and slid the window shut, leaving just a tiny crack. We stood there in the pouring rain, hidden by the shadow of the building. Chase wiped the rain from his eyes and grinned, a wide, reckless grin. "We did it. We actually did it, Harper. Leo is safe." I looked at him, at the golden boy who had just risked his entire future because I told him a lie. A pang of guilt hit me, sharp and sudden. He was a good guy, better than me. But guilt is a luxury I can't afford, not with Stanford on the line. I forced the corners of my mouth up. I mimicked his grin. "Yeah," I said, my voice steady. "We saved him." "I saved myself," I corrected silently, "and you just helped me bury the body."
By the next morning, the rain had stopped, leaving the sky a bruised purple color. Northwood High was chaos, but for once, it was the good kind. I walked in late, my coffee cup warm in my hand. At 8:15 a.m., 2 police cruisers pulled up to the faculty entrance. Not for Leo, for Principal Vance. The email Harper forwarded must have hit the school board hard. The rumors were already spreading on Snapchat. Embezzlement, insurance fraud, arson. I stood by my locker feeling like I was floating. I saw Harper down the hall. She was talking to Mrs. Klein about her calculus midterm. She looked immaculate, not a hair out of place. When she saw me, she gave a tiny, almost imperceptible nod. We won. I closed my locker and headed toward the football field. I knew Leo would be there. He always hid under the bleachers during morning assembly. I found him sitting on the cold aluminum bench staring at his beat-up Converse. He didn't look like a guy who had just been cleared of a felony. He looked terrified. "Hey, man," I said, sitting down next to him. Leo jumped, then relaxed when he saw it was me. "Chase, you look like you saw a ghost," I grinned, clapping him on the shoulder. "Relax, you're in the clear. Vance is going down." Leo let out a long, shaky breath. "Yeah, I heard." "It wasn't luck," I said, lowering my voice. I wanted him to know. I wanted credit. Harper and I went into the server room last night. We accessed the archives. We wiped the footage of you leaving. I waited for the thank you. I waited for the relief. Instead, Leo went pale. You watched the video?" "Yeah," I said, confused. "We saw you walk in, grab something from the desk, and run out. Then the smoke started. But we deleted it before anyone could twist the context." Leo stared at me. His eyes were dark, full of a heavy, painful secret. "Chase," he said slowly, "you saw me grab something." "Yeah, that bundle of cloth or whatever. A rag?" Leo reached into the pocket of his hoodie. He pulled out a ball of woven red fabric. He unfolded it. It was a scarf, a bright red, expensive-looking cashmere scarf. I recognized it. I'd seen Harper wearing it at the game last Friday. "I didn't take a rag, Chase. I picked this up." My smile faded. "Why?" "Because she dropped it, Chase. I didn't start the fire. I walked in because I smelled smoke. The curtains were already burning when I got there. I saw Harper running out the side door. She was crying. She dropped this." The world stopped. The noise of the students arriving for class faded into a dull roar. "Wait," I stammered. "You're saying Harper was there first?" "She told me she went in to fix a grade," Leo said, staring at the scarf. "She knocked over a candle. An accident. But she panicked. She ran." My mind raced back to last night. The server room. Harper's hand covering mine on the mouse. No time. The way she clicked the timeline forward to 8:58 p.m. She wasn't skipping the boring parts. She was cutting out the prologue. She didn't delete the video to save Leo from being framed. She deleted it to hide the fact that she was the arsonist. The embezzlement email? She probably found that weeks ago. She just saved it as her ace in the hole. And I was just the muscle, the witness, the idiot who helped her pull the trigger. "She knows," Leo said quietly. "I told her I'd take the heat if it came to it. She has more to lose than I do, Chase. She's going to Stanford." I stood up. My legs felt numb. "Yeah," I said, my voice hollow. "She's going places." I walked back into the main hallway. The bell rang. Students flooded the corridor. I saw Harper again. She was at her locker, putting a book away. The light from the window caught her hair, making it look like a halo. She felt my eyes on her. She turned. She didn't look worried. She didn't look sorry. She looked at me, glanced down at the red scarf Leo must have told me I saw, and then looked back up. A slow, thin smile stretched across her face. It wasn't a conspiratorial smile anymore. It was a warning. "I have my future," the smile said, "and you have a secret." I looked at the girl I almost fell in love with in the dark. The girl next door who convinced me she was the victim while handing me the shovel to bury the truth. I finally understood why she liked me. I played by the rules. Harper played to win. I looked away first. The end.